What's up, boys and girls? This is episode 7 of the Chaingang podcast. Unfortunately, Ryan went missing again, and he will not be with us for this week. But thankfully, we got Justin and we got Stat Boy replacing Ryan this week. So I appreciate y'all coming on the podcast today. It's going to be a fun one. We got a lot to talk about today. And I'm a little more giddy than usual. I'll be honest. It's a Friday night. I'm ready to go. I'm ready. This week has been shit. I'm ready for it to be over.
Finally done with exams.
Exactly. You know, exams have been tough lately. I definitely got fucked over on the one I had today. Nothing I studied was on it, so that was pretty cool. But you know, we got some football to take our minds off it. So instead of things we learned this week, I thought, you know, Justin might approve of just headlines of the week so that he can't exactly tell me that they're wrong because, you know, they're headlines and they happen. The first one I got, a lot of underdogs came through this week. The Titans beat the Bills, the Jags beat the Dolphins, and this isn't like a strong upset, but I kind of needed a third one because, you know, 2 doesn't really make it that much of a headline, but the Vikings beat the Panthers. So I feel like that's somewhat of an upset maybe because the Panthers are at home. But yeah, I mean, what game were you guys surprised at the most?
Dude, definitely the Jags beating the Dolphins. Who knew it that the Jags were able to actually beat a team, but they still don't have a win in the States though. So it was that really a win?
I don't know. I mean,
it can't even win in their home country.
It was the Dolphins too. Like, you know, I know that. Well, the Jags always have success in London, though. I feel like that's why they go every year because the NFL's like, you know what, we'll throw you a win. All right, everyone else hates going to one game. Yeah, just you got to give them one, okay, or else you know Urban Meyer's going to get fired. And frankly, he's a character in the NFL right now, so I feel like they kind of want him in the mix. You know, so
I think Urban Meyer's going to get fired regardless.
Oh, 100%. But at least he got it. At least he got a dub out of it, and he's not Hugh Jackman where he goes like 0-32 in like 2 straight years. You know, whatever. So happy about that. But for me, I don't know about you, Justin, but I thought the most surprising one was the Titans and the Bills.
Absolutely.
I did not. I knew that like the Titans can be surprisingly good for 1 week and then just drop off the next. I did not think they were going to be able to produce like this. And shout out to Derrick Henry for overcoming his
Bills on his back
Bills handcuff. Like he just.
Derrick Henry is the diamond in the rough there. They're the most unstable team I've ever seen in football. They lose to the Jets 1 week and they come back and beat one of the top teams in the NFL. It makes no sense.
It really doesn't. And it's not like AJ Brown was, you know, that great either. You know, Tre'Davious White was doing a good job, you know, shutting him down, but man, Derrick Henry's hard to stop. It's and there was some bad coaching that we will go over that the Bills probably could have still won the game. But you know, I guess coaches think differently in, you know, tense situations, especially, you know, divisional games like that. Or no, that's not a divisional game. I'm an idiot. But the headline that I like the most this week, TJ Watt really came in the clutch for the Steelers. You know, I was really worried that we were actually going to lose to Geno Smith at home. That would have been beyond embarrassing. I was shitting myself watching the last 10 minutes of that game, okay? He has to be considered one of the best defensive edge rusher in the game right now. He has to be.
Absolutely. Maybe the best right now. He's just
about Javon Hargrave.
No, fuck off. He's not even an edge rusher. He's a defensive tackle. But TJ Watt's putting up big numbers, and he's making big plays, and that's why he got that sack full of cash to start out the year. He obviously got the sack on 3rd and 4 to force the Seahawks to punt at the end of the 4th, and then he got the fumble recovery to set the Steelers up for the game-winning field goal. Because to be honest, I don't think that field goal would have happened if we would have just gotten the ball on the other side of the field, because I did not have confidence that Big Ben could last that long in the game. I was surprised he was still in the game and upright. I didn't think he could make it to an overtime game.
You see the Steelers defense carry them a lot in games, and TJ Watt is just phenomenal, dude. I mean, I don't know what else you'd expect from the younger brother of one of the best defensive ends of all time, but
right.
I mean, he's definitely earning his name.
Dude, he is. And so is Derek Carr. Without John Gruden, the Raiders weren't really phased. It didn't look like after their situation. They beat the Broncos 34-24. And I know we were all surprised on this podcast because we all picked the Broncos last week. And, we thought they were going to struggle without Gruden, but it was the exact opposite. Derek Carr put up like 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, looking great. So
does that mean Derek Carr is elite?
It absolutely does not.
I can't say that because Case Keenum did look good against the Broncos last night because we're filming this on a Friday. So he did look good in the Thursday night game. So the Broncos defense is a lot worse, than what we thought. Like, we thought they were going to be better, and they obviously are not. They've been actually playing good offenses now, and they haven't been up to, they haven't been up for the challenge. They haven't been able to stop the, last couple offenses they played. So the Raiders were not phased at all, which surprised a lot of us. So
yeah,
those are kind of the headlines that I had from this week. So it was definitely an interesting week. But we got a lot to talk about today. Later, we will talk about some of the more important topics, I guess, that we're going to go over is Aaron Rodgers had a very interesting touchdown celebration. I would love to talk with you guys about that because, Justin, I know you have a thing against Aaron Rodgers. I really want to talk about the Cowboys because I'm personally confused if they're actually a good team or not. I honestly don't know. Obviously, they're 5-1, everything like that, but we got to look more in depth and actually see, if they're good. And then Dan Campbell's been complaining about Jared Goff. So, we're going to look at is he the main problem in Detroit? Is he the reason why the Lions are 0-6? And then, we got our usual game picks, bad calls, controversial calls. And then halfway through, we're going to throw in a little new segment that's really short, but it's the Stat Boy fact break. And Stat Boy is going to give us an interesting fact that we would have never known, even by just watching the games. But the first topic that I want to talk about is the Chargers. What the fuck happened?
You shit the bed.
They played the Ravens this last week. They got absolutely creamed. Okay, I was relying on Justin Herbert and Mike Williams to put up numbers. I know the Ravens defense is good, but the Chargers offense looked almost unstoppable.
The Ravens defense isn't that good, though.
What happened?
The Chargers offense was terrible.
I think one of the keys to them winning that game was they shut down Joey Bosa for the majority of the game. They just had him blocked. And, I mean, they were running, triple blocks on him. They were bringing over tight ends, double teaming him. But, I mean, they just shut him down. I think he had 1 sack the entire game.
Yeah, and I know I was raving about the Chargers defensive line coming in because, of Joey Bosa, because of what he's shown me this season. He's been amazing. He's been putting up good numbers, but it's hard when you are on a defensive line like that where you have that one guy. And, with a good line like the offense or like the Ravens have, they're able to just, put 2 guys on him. Maybe the running back blocks him too, and kind of able to shut him down. And with Lamar Jackson's mobility, no one's going to be able to chase him down. All the corners are deep down the field because the Ravens only run deep routes, I think. I'm pretty sure. Either that or wide receiver screen, honestly. But honestly, the Chargers were just outcoached. I mean, they just didn't have an answer on either side of the ball. Brandon Staley's been a great coach this year for the Chargers, but it's, this is just kind of one of the rookie lessons that, coaches learn against going an experienced coach and John Harbaugh, with a very good playoff team. So, it's just a learning experience for the Chargers. Obviously, I think, they can do better. I think they can beat the Ravens on a good day. But, they just got a game plan.
Yeah. I mean, this win definitely came down to coaching. The Ravens just were better prepared. The Chargers weren't able to get anything started on offense. And especially with shutting down their number 1 pass rusher, what I think a top 3 pass rusher in the league, that's going to completely change the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, for sure. And they didn't have an answer for Lamar Jackson, and even more, they didn't have an answer for any of the running backs on that team. they were racking up the rushing numbers against them. And I feel like you gotta know going in, the Ravens are gonna run the ball. Okay. They averaged they're top 5 in rushing in the league. You know what they're gonna do. You gotta be better prepared for it. I mean, maybe, that's what they were going for, but I feel like as a defensive coordinator, that's what you got to highlight because, it's a lot easier to shut down their run game and make them rely on the pass. Even though Lamar Jackson has developed as a good passer, I am still going to force him to pass to, beat us pretty much. So the Chargers definitely performed below par this week. I was really betting on them to do well. And I know Ryan was too because, he's big on Justin Herbert this year. And besides last game, he's been doing pretty well. But we're going to see if the Chargers can recover. They're actually on a bye this week, so they get the long bye to think about how badly they got the shit beaten out of them. But the next topic we got up, as we talked about in the headlines, the Dolphins got upset this week. They are now 1-5 on the year, and they just don't look good. I don't know. Is it time for the Dolphins to rebuild? What do you do from here if you're the Dolphins GM?
I sure hope they tank because guess who gets their first round pick this year coming up?
Oh shit! Wait, did the Eagles get it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they don't even have first round pick.
They have like a top 3 pick right now. So if they do decide to rebuild and tank, that's us. That's all.
I mean, you probably are going to end up with that top 3, top 5 pick. But honestly, I think people forget the Dolphins are still kind of in a rebuild. Like their quarterback was drafted 2 years ago. They have some very talented players like Xavier Howard that are just reaching their prime, within the last 2 or 3 years. And there's been a lot of shift in the last couple of years. I think one of their big mistakes has just been letting a couple people walk, like Kyle Van Noy walked to the Patriots in the offseason. He's a very talented zone linebacker, and maybe he didn't fit the scheme exactly, but I feel like you could have gotten more.
Oh, for sure. And, the big part of the Dolphins' failure has been that defense. It's kind of what they relied on last year, and that's why they were 10-6 and able to make the playoffs. But their defense looks so bad. It's so bad. They're third worst overall in the league. They're giving up 29 points per game. I don't know what happened. I didn't think Kyle Van Noy would have that much of an impact. I'm sure it's not all, him leaving, but it's got to be some of it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he was a captain within the first couple of weeks of being on the team. Like that has a huge impact on morale, huge impact on schemes. And on top of that, I'm not a big believer in Tua, but having your starting quarterback out for 2 or 3 games is going to affect any team.
He might be out for a lot longer too if they make a certain trade soon.
And that's what I don't see a Deshaun Watson trade happening, but I have heard
really.
But I have I'll say to the Dolphins, but I have heard that he will only waive his no trade clause to be on the Dolphins.
It's the only team he wants to go to.
But the Dolphins don't want to do a Tua Watson swap, which I don't know if that's because they would have to give up more draft capital because then they cannot have a first-round pick for the next 3 years, theoretically.
Yeah, they can't do a Tua Watson swap. That's just not a good trade at all. Right.
The Texans would never do that. Tua is obviously, Tua has potential, but he's nowhere near to Deshaun Watson, obviously.
Well, I've heard some people say, some sources say that Washington might get involved in the trade too, make a 3-way trade.
Please. Can Washington please get a quarterback? Heineke is so garbage. He was a 1-game
You were a big
wonder.
believer in Heineke in the beginning of the season.
I was because he played so well against
the Bucs in the playoffs. I told you he was a fourth quarter player, and that's it.
Bro, I know, but I thought he would do a little bit better. He only had 118 passing yards against the Chiefs last week. And they're one of the worst defenses in the NFL. But I agree, Justin, with you. I was not always a big believer in Tua. Just watching him play against the Jags, it was like he was back in college, that Jags defense. Everyone that he threw to was butt fuck open. There was no one around them. And even when, guys were covered, he decided to not run, but to throw in traffic. And that was really weird to me because he's not really relying on his legs as much as he should, honestly. I know we've all seen that meme of him, having clear room to make the first down and then him just throwing it into double coverage.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but the national championship game, Clemson versus Alabama, was one of two of his worst games ever in his college career. And he also just happened to give Trevor Lawrence his first NFL win. So,
Trevor Lawrence played okay, but he didn't play great. But I will say this team looks a lot better with Tua at the helm. Even though Jacoby Brissett, I think, is a decent backup, they need Tua to stay healthy for longer, and then you can panic. I think right now Dolphins fans should probably, I think you're okay. I know your defense is looking really bad right now, but you've played some really good offenses. I mean, they played the Raiders, who this year have been a top 10 offense, the Bucks, the Bills, and the Colts, who aren't terrible, but I mean, those are three top 10 offenses. So it's natural for them to struggle. And I know Xavier Howard's been in and out with injury, but they got a star-studded defense no matter what. I mean, their corners are amazing, and it's surprising to me that they're giving up almost 300 passing yards a game, but I think that's just guys just need to stay healthy. I think that's their formula. So honestly, as a Dolphins fan, I'm not really panicking. I would be as a Patriots fan because the Dolphins are the only team to beat the Patriots, so we're going to see where it goes from there, but they just got to play with a little more passion. Honestly, it's really all it is. But Stat Boy, what do we got up next for this week?
Let's look into some bad calls.
Okay, what's the first bad call we got up?
So Bills down by 3. They went for it on 4th and inches for a chip shot field goal.
See, I actually like this call. Okay, I know it was a weird call to make because you could just easily go into overtime, but when you give Derrick Henry one possession, like he's going to score. The way he was running, like I am more confident in a QB sneak with Josh Allen on 4th and inches than my defense, especially when they gave up 34 points. So I know their offense was doing well that game, but I like this call. Even though it didn't work, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, you see it with a lot of coaches who believe, fuck overtime. I'm going to try and get this done now. Mm-hmm. And I never have an issue with someone going for it on 4th and inches, 4th and 1 or 2. I would have liked to see him do it with a running back or a fullback instead of a quarterback. I'm not a big fan of QB sneaks unless you have like Lamar Jackson, but I'm okay with the call.
But I feel like Josh Allen's the perfect quarterback to QB sneak with. He's big, he's long, he can reach over. Lamar Jackson would just fumble or get hurt. He's a twig.
Lamar Jackson is not a twig.
Compared to other NFL quarterbacks, he a twig. Obviously, compared to me, he's like a fucking, like, he's an animal, but like he's a twig to NFL quarterbacks.
I don't know about all that, but I think Lamar Jackson would be better in that kind of situation. But regardless, I feel like 4th and inches, you should almost always use some sort of back, not a quarterback.
Yeah,
my personal belief.
Yeah, okay. I mean, they got Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, so they got physical running backs. So that could, they could have worked it that way, but I'm just more confident with Josh Allen jumping.
Put a tight end in the backfield. Let some big body guy try and break through the D line. It didn't work out.
Yeah,
that's the gamble you take.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, still love this call. Because like I said, their offense was flowing. So if you get that first down, I'm pretty confident that you're scoring a touchdown, you're winning that game.
Agreed.
So I honestly like the call. I mean, Stat Boy, what did you think?
Yeah, I would go for that with Josh Allen any day. I mean, I really trust him to get 1 yard and just a couple inches, of course, definitely. But in this case, just didn't come through. And that's just a part of life. Things just don't come through sometimes.
Thank you.
Well said, Stat Boy. But the next call, it went well for the Eagles, but I still question it. It really bugged me. I just didn't understand it. The Eagles played the Bucks last Thursday night. I know it was a while ago, but to make you guys remember, the Eagles scored a touchdown late in the fourth, and it was 28-20, and they were, they could have kicked an extra point to make it 21, but for some reason they went for two, but they got it, and I don't understand this call at all. I didn't make any sense to me, because if you miss it, that just puts even more pressure on you at the end of the game to make the two. So why not just kick the easy extra point and then maybe later go for two and go for the win?
It's the same mentality as the 4th and inches. You could have punted it, but you got to go for it. If you get the 2-point conversion, you drive back down, you still have to score a touchdown either way. You might as well put yourself in a position where you could win instead of just tie, send it to overtime.
But you can kick an extra point.
Well, I'm pretty confident the Bucks would win in overtime.
Yeah.
So, 21, you get up to 28. I wouldn't trust the Eagles in overtime. So I'm okay with that call. I'm okay with going
for I'm okay with going for two on the second touchdown. Like if you score like the game tying touchdown and you go for two, like for the win, that makes sense to me. I get that. But why are they going for it a touchdown before? You know what I mean?
I would
like,
never
to make the next touchdown easier.
On a second touchdown, I would never go for it. Because if you get to that point, it's already super late in the fourth. Why would you risk the entire game on going for two? That's a lot more pressure on your offense. I say that I'm okay with this call because going for two in that situation, either motivates or you kind of see the way the game's going to play out.
But then you set yourself up for that situation if you don't make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you
set
yourself up for the more. But that's what I'm saying. That's why it was a bad call, because it's that.
I don't think it's a bad call. I'm okay with that.
It's a terrible call because the Bucks have a good red zone defense. Believe it or not, their defense hasn't been amazing this year, but they have a pretty solid red zone defense. And I'm not going for it here in this situation, especially when the Eagles don't really have many great red zone targets. I mean, Zach Ertz was that week their only good target.
Yeah, so I'm okay with it. Personally, if I were coaching, I probably wouldn't have gone for that. But, that's why I don't get paid the big bucks. I'm over here on the Chaingang.
That's true. Well, hopefully we get the big bucks soon. But Stat Boy, as an Eagles fan, did you like this call? I mean,
I love going for two. Going for two is exhilarating because Jalen Hurts.
Like the trademark for Eagles fans is you just go for two.
I love going for two. Jalen Hurts, I really think that when we do go for two, he does okay. He can either scramble, run it in, or throw it to a receiver. He's got a lot of options there, and it's only 2 yards. I think that's the one option with Jalen Hurts that I think is not that bad. I mean, if we had a running back, I think I would love it even more if we had good running. But
and you don't.
In this case, I love going for two because then in the next touchdown, all you have to do is kick an extra point and win. And that didn't happen, but that just makes it so much easier for them at the end. And I would have gone and done that all day. I think you're saying
every team now that's down by 2 touchdowns, if they score one, they got to go for two. It's just a smarter option. I mean,
that's the smarter option. It just gives you that option to win at the end just with an extra point, which is so much easier than going for two.
I strongly disagree with both of you.
I agree with Stat Boy to an extent. I don't know if every time you should go for it. It definitely depends on the game. But it definitely takes the pressure off your offense at the end of the game. There's so much more pressure going for two with 30 seconds or a minute left than there is with 5 minutes left.
I agree with that, but it's the point where you're putting your offense in that situation when you could just casually kick an extra point and set yourself up for the next one, casually kick another extra point.
But that's the tie.
Yeah, I know that's the tie.
We don't want to tie. We want to win. We're not playing the tie, Dylan. We're playing the win.
It's the same concept as going for the 4th and inches. You're trying to put yourself up because you could have played it safe. You could have played it safe, walked away, let your defense take over. You were okay with the 4th and inches with Josh Allen, but you're not okay with the 2-point conversion.
Okay, because that is one of the best offenses in the NFL, getting an inch. Okay,
you're saying the Eagles don't have one of the best offenses in the NFL?
Jalen Hurts is good against bad defenses. Okay, he is not good against top.
No, he's good against the Falcons.
I take it back.
He's not good against anybody else.
The Eagles have two of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. Gardner Minshew and Jalen Hurts are both future stars. And
Gardner Minshew is a future star.
Gardner Minshew is a future star.
All he wants, dude. Gardner Minshew is one of my favorite quarterbacks.
Maybe off the field with his mullet and mustache. On the field, dude, he's garbage.
He's not garbage.
Why is he not starting anymore?
He should be, in my opinion. He is an absolute dog.
You know what? Once Big Ben throws out his arm, gets sacked, falls on his shoulder.
If Gardner Minshew goes to the Steelers, you should
playoff
thank
team.
God.
Playoff. That I can get behind going. That's a
playoff team. Right
I would
there.
love that.
But apparently, the bad call of the week was not starting Gardner Minshew. But we went over, the 2-point conversion. Let me know what y'all think below. I don't really like that call. But, the Eagles fan did, and I guess that's all that matters for that team. But, Stat Boy, we got an interesting topic up next concerning Aaron Rodgers. But it's not with the Packers franchise. It's about another one.
After that touchdown celebration, he's now part owner of the Chicago Bears.
Yes.
Of course, he's always been owner of Chicago.
Let me tell you, that touchdown celebration is the reason I love football. Aaron Rodgers was a huge asshole about that celebration. I loved every second about it. That may be the best celebration I've ever seen.
And I originally didn't understand it because it was so aggressive, like it was because he scored that touchdown and, he said that, he, quote, I still own you. I still own you. It didn't make really sense to me because he's a career 22-5 against the Bears. So why all of a sudden now did he have all of this anger and all of this aggression? And then I read an article that Aaron Rodgers, after, rushing for the game, leading touchdown, he looked up in the stands and he saw a woman giving him the double bird. And he said he blacked out after that and just went off. I
loved it. That was the personality of a WWE superstar. I loved every second of it. And I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. David Bacardi?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah, well, he said that the mic didn't pick up the middle line, which was, I still fucking own you, which is the best line I've ever heard.
Bro, Aaron Rodgers really fucking showed the Bears this week. He also said, though, that he loves playing at Soldier Field and he has a lot of respect for the fans, but they obviously don't have any for him. And I wouldn't either. If I were, a Bears fan, I would fucking hate Aaron Rodgers. But I just thought this was a funny note to put in. I love the intensity, that Aaron Rodgers is bringing, even though he, doesn't really want to be on the Packers. He's still showing that emotion and that drive, to win games, as the Packers have won 5 in a row. So they're looking pretty good. They're looking great right now. Stat Boy, we got your Stat Boy fact break. So read it off for us.
All right, boys. Patrick Mahomes, he has more interceptions this season than Taylor Heineke and Davis Mills, Teddy Bridgewater, and has the same amount as Trevor Lawrence. What is up with that?
That's
Patrick
crazy.
Mahomes.
That's crazy.
Trevor Lawrence, same amount of interceptions.
Mahomes really slinging it around, 2 different safeties instead of Tyreek Hill. He has not been as good as I thought he was this year, especially with the turnovers. This is a big part of why it's not all the defense. This is another part of why the Chiefs aren't doing well.
You know what they need?
Gardner Minshew. Let's sign him up, baby. No. Let's sign him up.
We've talked about this throughout the year. I think a big issue was watching the Bucs tear them apart at the Super Bowl last year. And teams are going to adapt that defense and how they play, which is why they were steamrolling defenses in past years. And, they can't really do that anymore. And I think to kind of compensate for them not being able to tear apart defenses, they're just letting Patrick Mahomes sling the ball around, which has not been working great for them.
Oh, not as well as, they definitely panned it out to be. Yeah. But who is slinging the ball, and it actually is working out great? It's Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. They're 5-1 right now, and they're in everybody's top 10 power rankings. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be there, but my question to you guys, are the Cowboys actually a top team? Am I missing something here? I don't think they are. I'm a little lost here. I don't see why everyone is so hype on the Cowboys.
I think they're a top regular season team. I know in our notes you have asking if they're a Super Bowl team, and I want to make it very clear the Cowboys are never a Super Bowl team under any circumstance. Now, we talked about this earlier in the season. I do think they have one of the best, if not the best, receiving cores. They're very competent on offense. Dak Prescott's been playing great. Their defense, at least some pieces of it, have definitely been playing up. Micah Parsons was a great pick. Not Stephon Diggs. Trevor Diggs?
Trayvon Diggs.
He's been having a phenomenal year. He's the Xavier Howard of interceptions this year. I love the guy. But no, they are not a deep playoff team.
I don't think bold statement being made right now, and you might want to call a flag on this one. I'm not sure, but I don't think Trayvon Diggs is as good as everyone is saying he is. Those 7 interceptions look pretty flashy, but I don't. That's impressive and all, but I don't think he's like a top 5 corner. I don't think he's a top 10 corner. I don't think he has one of the worst actual PFF grades of the corners. He's nowhere near the top.
I don't talent-wise, I would not put him as a top cornerback in the league. He's not up there with Xavier Howard or Stephon Gilmore or I cannot remember names tonight.
Marlon Humphrey.
I was going for Jalen Ramsey. That's who I was going for.
Oh, okay.
But he's not up there with those names. But the role he's had in the Cowboys offense and how they've been playing him have made him look really good. And I'm not going to discredit him by any means. He's been having a good season, especially after last year when people thought he was going to be kind of a bust. He wasn't having the best season last year. And I'm really happy for him. And I hope he keeps getting better in following seasons.
Yeah, for sure. I think this Cowboys defense is still not where it needs to be at for them to be a playoff team. Trayvon Diggs might make them look a lot better, but when it comes down to it, they have the 10th worst overall defense right now. They're giving up 24 points a game, which is, by no means a little. That's a pretty decent number. So obviously they've been carried by their offense this year. I will say the Cowboys offense does look amazing. I'll give them that. They're the Chiefs of the NFC right now, in my opinion. They got that star-studded offense that no one can stop, but the defense that is not going to be able to keep them late in games.
Agreed. With their defense, I do think they have some very promising pieces on defense. As a whole, their defense is not great, but if they can start building around it, I think they could really elevate that team. But again, Cowboys never a Super Bowl team, ever.
Well, right. And my thing is the teams, when you look at the teams they've beaten, they haven't beaten really good teams. I mean,
they beat the Chargers.
I knew you were going to say that. And I was going to say there was that controversial call. I don't know if you remember, there was a controversial call at the end of the game with Micah Parsons where he sacked Justin Herbert, and that made them, it made it a 3rd and 25. And obviously, they're not going to be able to make a 3rd and 25 on the 30. That's just not going to happen. So they kicked the game tying field goal. Then the Cowboys went down the field, kicked the game winning field goal. But look, in this game, the rushing attack was the only thing keeping them in. Dak only had 237 yards, but they did have 198 rushing yards. The Chargers kind of got fucked over with 12 penalties called on them. And to top it off, Cowboys were up 14-3 after the first quarter, and they won 20-17.
Wow.
So they really only played well in the first quarter. I know that was enough for them to win. But the refs basically won them that game. And then the other teams they've beaten, they beat the Eagles, which was sort of competitive. They beat the Panthers.
Best quarterback duo in the league.
Exactly. They beat the Panthers, but they didn't have Christian McCaffrey. And then they beat the Giants, where Saquon, Daniel Jones, and Kenny Golladay all got hurt in the same game. And then to top it off, they beat the Patriots in overtime, which, Justin, I love you, dude, but the Patriots are a bottom 10 team right now in the NFL. And, you know, if they almost blew the lead to the Patriots, it's a little concerning to me.
They have a game-winning play to get past the Patriots. They had to have a huge game-winning play. It wasn't even like it was a pretty lucky touchdown pass to get past.
I don't know. I mean, he was throwing in the vicinity of Jalen Mills, so I think he was pretty confident that he was going to be able to make that play.
To be fair, in the defense of my Patriots, the Patriots have hung in there with some pretty good teams throughout the season. It's crucial plays where they seem to choke.
Yeah, Mac Jones doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have the calm, collective ability.
Well, I wouldn't even put it on Mac Jones quite yet. I'd say that the receiving core is definitely lacking. Tight ends haven't been playing up to the money they were given, and defense, especially linebackers, just have not been playing as well as me as a Patriots fan would have hoped. And I think that's what's been causing them to choke. Mac Jones, I think, is the diamond in the rough of that team right now.
All right, I'll give you that. But going back to the Cowboys here, you know, like I said, their offense is looking really good. Individually, Zeke is third in rushing, Dak is fifth in passing. But the only problem I have with the Cowboys offense is they only have a 56 red zone touchdown rate, which is incredibly low for how many points they're still putting up. They're still putting up the most points in the league, and they have one of the worst red zone touchdown rates. So be on the lookout if they're able to actually convert those field goals into touchdowns, because they're putting up 50 points a game.
I agree. So their offense is largely built around, you know, big chunk plays. I mean, you have Amari Rodgers, you have CeeDee Lamb, two great deep threats, and then Zeke, when he does have a good game, is known for just breaking off big chunks.
Right, and like I said, that rush game's huge for Dak in the passing game, gives him a little bit more time, and that's part of the reason why this offense is thriving as much as they are. But to me, I don't see them as a Super Bowl contender. I see them as a strong playoff team, but I don't think they're any more than that because of their defense right now. But we will see. Maybe they will prove me wrong. Maybe they'll prove everybody wrong by not being the typical Cowboys, and they will finish better than 8-9. So we will see. But next up, we got our consistent segment that we always got, controversial calls. There were a lot of bad calls made this week, but we could only pick a few. So the first one we got up is the Browns roughing the passer call on Kyler Murray. And I'll tell you what, this one really got to me. I'll be honest. Normally these kind of calls, you know, they're usually okay, but this one really pissed me off, you know. So let's take a look. So you couldn't really see it there, but we're gonna skip ahead. So as you see, you know, he made it around the edge. He's pushed into Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray doesn't even fall down.
Yeah, if the quarterback doesn't touch the ground, I feel like it can't be roughing the passer.
Like you can obviously see that he has no.
Who threw the flag? There was a ref right in front of him. Or right behind Kyler Murray.
I think that was the ref that threw the flag.
He's the one. You know, you can still see it in his pocket right there.
Oh, you're right. Maybe it was a ref ahead, but
it would have been someone else. It had to have been someone else.
Jackson is clearly pushed into Kyler Murray. He has no, you know, he can't stop himself. He
wasn't, and he just got away with pushing him. And he never fell down. Like,
right.
I don't see what the problem is with roughing the passer. It should be when you get the passer, throw him on the ground, jump into him, you know, like rough him up.
When you actually that's when you get that. You can clearly see Jackson there making an effort to slow down.
He didn't even touch the ground.
Right. Yeah, I know. It was completely ridiculous. I did not like this call at all. Roughing the passer has gotten out of hand, honestly. I appreciate, you know, the NFL wanting to you know, keep the quarterbacks healthy and, you know, make the rules safer for the quarterbacks. But, you know, on plays like this, it's getting a little too ridiculous to the point where you can't it makes it almost impossible for the defensive players to get a sack on the quarterback. Like if that's being called, defensive ends are in trouble. They really are. So that was a terrible call made by the refs this week. One of the worst ones I think we've seen this entire year. So the next and final call we have up is a holding call on the Bears where they pretty sure scored a touchdown and got called back because of this holding call. But I do not believe it was a holding call. So we're going to look at it here. So, yeah, there's the touchdown. I was mad because I didn't pick up Hubert, and he really went off this week, and I started Myles Gaskin, who had 4 points. So that was great. We're actually going to listen in to see what number he actually calls, because I'm a little confused on who.
It was 67.
67. Okay.
So no lineman.
We're gonna go back. Okay, I guess we can't really see the numbers that well.
I think it's the right guard over there.
Okay, so it's this dude.
One
dude?
more down.
That dude.
I think it's the one right next to where you had your mouse. You see him getting beat and kind of reaching around.
Oh, right here.
That might go other side.
There.
Keep going.
There.
You see him. He's almost.
There's a lot of guys getting beat.
He's the furthest up lineman right now.
That dude.
Pretty sure everyone on the right side has to be pulling someone to make sure they don't go to the running back, though. So there might be a couple.
Okay, he's right there, right? This guy.
Yeah,
it has to be that guy. Okay.
If you watch him, see his guy beats him, and he maybe kind of grabs at the jersey. It's kind of hard to tell with the video. You see him reach around there.
I know,
but I'm not sure if he grabs it.
Here,
I don't know. There's no blatant holding that I see on this play right now.
I honestly don't see anything there. I was really frustrated because I wanted the Bears to win really badly. Even though we, picked the Packers, it's always good to see the Packers lose. But I honestly didn't get that call. I didn't think he really held him at all. I did not understand that call, to be honest. So refs had a really bad week. We'll put it there.
Always have bad weeks.
They had a good week. I think it was either last week or the week before. So they have a better record than the Lions right now. At being good with making calls. And speaking of the Lions, we got to talk about them because Dan Campbell has been throwing some shade at Jared Goff. And what I want to talk about with you guys is Jared Goff really the main problem in Detroit? Like Campbell says, does Jared Goff need to step up? Or is he not the sole main issue? He's definitely an issue, because when you're 0-6, it's everybody. But is he the sole reason why this Lions team does not have a win yet?
Absolutely not.
I agree. He's playing actually pretty decent. And the teams that they've played, the combined record of those teams has been 22-13. So they've been playing good playoff teams. It's not like they're losing, to the Jags or the Dolphins, whoever. They're losing to teams like the 49ers, the Packers, the Ravens, the Bengals. These are all good teams. And honestly, the Lions have been in close games. As we know,
absolutely.
They have close games decided by field goals at the last second.
They were my upset team for the first 4 weeks. And I was almost right, decided by a touchdown or a field goal in most of those games.
Yeah, and that's why you kept picking them, because the Lions were slowly leading you on by saying, we almost won this week against a really good team. So they're just teasing you, man. But I feel like Jared Goff isn't the problem. He isn't. And it's the Lions. I don't know what else to say. I mean, they're the Lions. They're going to be bad.
Jared Goff, he's an above average quarterback. He's not good. He's not great. He was really good a few years ago, but you don't have that anymore. And I mean, even you weren't a big believer in Matt Stafford, but now he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league as 32, 33-year-old quarterback. imagine if he was on a different team throughout the rest of his career. Now he just wasted in Detroit. And I think Detroit brings down just about everyone who steps foot in there. And on top of that, they've had some terrible drafts. They just released their second round linebacker, Jelani Tavai from a few years ago.
Wow, you can't remember most names, but you remembered that one.
I did remember that one.
That's surprising. I'm impressed.
Well, I mean, he was way overdrafted, and they released him a few years later. So that's terrible. A lot of your picks that have promise are injured right now. I mean, Jeff Okudah and what's his name? Melifonwu, their other cornerback DB combo. He's been injured. And, I mean, those are two promising players that are really going to bring down the defense. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, they let a lot of people walk. I mean, they just released Jamie Collins, who isn't in his prime anymore, but he's a solid role player. And they just let him walk.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's almost like to the point where the Lions don't really have a choice. I mean, no one on the team wants to be there. Yeah, I mean, except Jared Goff, because he's like,
Campbell.
I'm finally at a place that I'm wanted, and I can win games and stuff. But he's not, because he's on the Lions. But my big thing is, Dan Campbell's blaming Jared Goff, but he hasn't given him a number one receiver. He doesn't.
I don't know if he's blaming him. I think he's just trying to motivate him. I think he's a very, he's a true football coach. I don't think he's trying to bring him down. I think he's trying to get him motivated, get him going. Because I don't think Jared Goff is a very emotional, kind of passionate guy when you look at him. I think he's just in Detroit just playing football. I don't think he really cares about it. I think Dan Campbell is trying to help him out.
But no, DeAndre Swift, great running back. He was injured there for a little bit, but he's really the diamond in the rough. I've been using that phrase a lot this podcast, but I think he's the diamond in the rough. And you have to look to Dan Campbell, because I think it all stems from coaching. And I don't think Dan Campbell has a big enough sample size yet to say he's a bad coach. I think he could be a good coach, but this falls on him too. You can't pin it off on your quarterback. That never looks good. It's not a good excuse.
Yeah, and Justin, to go back to the diamond in the rough phase, if we had more listeners, I would totally make that into a shirt. We would have the that shirt. We would have the dog water shirt. Obviously, we'd have to have a Zach Wilson shirt, like Zach Wilson being a superstar, or something to that aspect. Maybe throw him in a Patriots jersey.
Just a trash can with Wilson on the back.
Yeah, dude. All Chaingang merch. Bro, let's get more listeners so we can make these epic shirts happen.
I was going to say to, the 15, 20 people who listen, just share it. We have good ideas.
Yeah, bro. We speak in good fact. But going all the way back to you bringing up DeAndre Swift, Justin, I'm really glad you brought him up, because the Lions need to get him more involved, okay? He's only at 65 rushing attempts this year. That's 24th in the league right now. That's less than Jamal Williams and Madison, the backup on the Vikings. And I understand he's been kind of injured and in and out of games, but he's been playing in every game. He's only averaging 35 rushing yards a game, 3.3 yards per carry. They got to figure out how to get him going if they're going to make this offense good.
Well, I do like Jamal Williams. I think he's a solid back too. And so I'm okay with him getting a decent amount of touches. Obviously, DeAndre Swift is their best running back on the team, and getting him more involved, I think, would help them a lot. But also, like you said, there are injury concerns, so I'm okay with them kind of easing him back in. He missed a few weeks, and they want him to take it slow, because if you lose him for the season, that's a way bigger issue.
Right. So, but my whole thing with Jared Goff is, can you give him somebody to throw to? He doesn't have anybody.
Yeah. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a rookie who I like a lot. I think he has potential, but obviously he's rookie wide receiver, especially on the Lions, is not going to contribute very much. They need to get some at least decent receivers.
No, I think it's the opposite. I think because he's a rookie receiver on the Lions, they don't got any other better options, because no one wants to go there. So obviously he's going to have an impact, but Tyrell Williams has got to get healthy. He's the closest thing the Lions have to a number one receiver. He is just a tall, physical receiver. He's not like wide receiver one potential. but that's all they got. So he needs to get healthy. I want to give Jared Goff more of a chance with him in the game because he played well week 1 when Tyrell Williams was in there for some of the game before he got hurt. So he put up good numbers against the 49ers.
Why taint his career?
Give my boy Jared Goff some wide receivers to throw to, okay? I'm not saying the Lions defense is bad. It's always bad. We know this. But if you're going to be cruel on my man Jared Goff, at least give him a number 1 wide receiver. And
you know who could
he plays bad after that.
You know who could save the Lions? They trade Jared Goff to the Eagles for Gardner Minshew.
Bro, Gardner Minshew ain't putting up any numbers with that offense, okay?
Nobody can.
I love
Gardner Minshew. He was doing it on the Jags.
Okay, but at least the Jags, he had Allen Robinson for some years. He had James Robinson. He had DJ Chark. Lions got nobody. They got TJ Hawkinson, and Swift is healthy half the time. But we got our last topic of the day. Of course, it's going to be the Week 7 game picks. But Stat Boy, as we do before we make all of our game picks for the week, we got to go over last week's picks to see who got the punishment. So let's hear the result.
There was a tie for first.
Fuck.
Those two people tied were Ryan and Dylan.
Yeah, let's get it. Justin always be getting them punishments. Oh, it's so funny every time.
What was my record?
7-5. Dylan and Ryan had a record of 8-4.
What the fuck?
Hey Justin. You want to know the you lost by one game?
Yeah.
You know the one game that you lost?
The Steelers game.
No, you didn't. No? The Steelers game. You picked the Steelers. So you got that one. Yeah, you did.
Who did I lose?
You put your confidence in the Patriots defense.
God damn it, that's right.
And you picked the Patriots over the Cowboys. So you almost had us. If they would have won in overtime, we would be getting the punishments right now. But the Cowboys offense is too good, as we were saying earlier in the show, and therefore Justin gets the punishment again this week.
Wow.
So, Stat Boy, since you're filling in for Ryan, what punishment are we thinking for Justin this week? He's gotten a lot of them, so I feel like we should maybe go easy on him this week.
Awesome.
Maybe just something casual, like, I don't know, maybe like skinny dipping in the pool during the swim team practice, something like that. I mean, that's really easy.
Okay.
Minor felony.
Yeah, just a small one there. But Stat Boy, I feel like, we haven't gone with the risky text message yet. And I feel like that might be a simple one, but also one that, he doesn't really have to put much effort into and may or may not work. What are your thoughts on that?
He could, text back one of his exes. I'm watching the football game and I see a lot of missed field goals. That reminds me of all the missed opportunities I had with you. Hope you're doing okay.
Oh, okay.
See you soon.
Stop Boy putting up that embarrassment message that I will agree with that Joseph must send to an ex. We'll give you the freedom of picking the ex. If that makes you feel any better. But that will be Justin's punishment this week. And I am really excited to see it as Justin continues to lose. It gets funnier and funnier every week, especially because he mostly relies on the Patriots. And, they let him down. Well, this week we are starting out with which game, Stat?
Bengals, Ravens. Couple important notes to take into account. Rams put everything into beating the Bucs and got beat the net. Wait, what?
Yeah.
What is this?
It just read it out. It will make sense.
Okay. The Rams put everything into beating the Bucs and got beat the next week by their division rival, the Cardinals. The Ravens are in a very similar situation with beating the Chargers last week and are now facing the Bengals. Bengals are only giving up 90 rush yards a game, while the Ravens are averaging 155 rush yards per game. And the Ravens have limited Keenan Allen to 50 yards, Tyreek Hill to 14 yards, and Cortland Sutton with 47 yards. So just a couple injuries here. For the Bengals, Trey Hendrickson is questionable and Trey Waynes is out. And for the Ravens, Latavius Murray, Patrick Queen, Sammy Watkins, and Alejandro Villanueva are all questionable. So what do we think, guys?
This one's pretty easy for me. I'm going with the Ravens. Lamar Jackson's been absolutely unstoppable this year. He even in his losses, it's been very close games. I'm going with the Ravens. Not even a question for me.
I really like the important note that Statboy said the first time was that the Rams put all their effort into beating the Bucs, and they got outcoached and outplayed by the Cardinals the next week. And I know the Ravens, put in a lot of effort against the Chargers. So I'm going to take the Bengals this week. I think the Bengals are an underrated team. That defense has made tremendous strides. And, their linebacking core is really good, and I think they're going to be able to lock up Mark Andrews, which I was a little nervous to say because he is on a couple of my fantasy teams. But, I'm confident, that the Bengals defense will somewhat contain Lamar Jackson, and I think Joe Burrow is going to have a good game. So I'm taking the Bengals here.
Okay. I can't go.
Bengals.
No, I can't pick against the Ravens, man. They've been doing too much. I don't think – this is the Bengals. They are underrated this year. The Bengals are, but they're not on the same level as the Ravens. There's no way they can beat the Ravens. Give me Baltimore.
This is the true contest for the Bengals. If they beat the Ravens this week,
they're legit.
They're legit playoff contenders.
Playoffs out.
But
they'll be legit if they can. Okay, next game, quick one. Football team versus the Packers. Antonio Gibson is questionable. William Jackson is questionable. Curtis Samuel is out. And for the Packers, Jair Alexander is out. This should be pretty easy. What do you think, guys?
Taking the Packers.
The whole Packers defense could be out, and I'm still taking the Packers this week. So give me the Packers.
All day Packers. Next, Falcons, Dolphins. The Dolphins, Will Fuller is out. Xavier Howard is questionable, and Byron Jones is questionable. What do we think?
Unpopular opinion, I'm going to go with the Falcons here.
I honestly don't think that's an unpopular opinion because the Falcons do have the better record, but I'm just worried about Xavier Howard and Byron Jones being questionable. So just give me the Falcons.
Same. Give me the Falcons.
Oh, not an unpopular opinion. I'm the man.
That's what I'm telling you.
All right. This is a good one. Jets versus Patriots. For the Patriots, Dante Hightower is questionable. So, what would it be? You think Bill Belichick's going to get the win?
I want to make this very clear. There's not a chance in hell that Zach Wilson takes any Bill Belichick team. If Zach Wilson wins, I will personally buy a Zach Wilson jersey and do a little dance in it. Fuck Zach Wilson.
You heard it here first.
Clip it. We're fucking – I almost want to pick the Jets just for the memes, just so if they win, it'd be so much sweeter. But I got to go with the Patriots.
Yep.
Jets suck.
Yeah, Jets suck. Patriots get that win. All right, here's the one. Panthers versus Giants. The Panthers are going to be without Christian McCaffrey, and the Giants will be without Saquon, Kenny Golladay, Mr. Tony, and Slayton and Shepard are both questionable.
I'm taking the Panthers.
I agree. Give me the Panthers.
Panthers all day. This might be good. Chiefs, Titans. The Chiefs, they're without Tyreek Hill, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Tyrann Mathieu. Titans could be without AJ Brown, Bud Dupree, and Julio Jones.
I will say, I just want to clear up that those guys for the Chiefs that were listed are all questionable. So they could play.
Potentially out.
But that's a lot of weapons for the Chiefs. Give me the Titans. They are coming off a big win against the Bills. They got a lot of momentum. Derrick Henry is looking great. The Chiefs' defense is parbo. Give me the Titans.
This is a very conflicting one. Dylan went with the Titans. I was going to go with the Titans, so I'll go with the Chiefs.
What the fuck?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
When you go against me, it hasn't turned out well for you, I will say.
I make my own luck, Dylan.
You really don't, though. You're just making terrible luck for yourself, I guess. So technically, I guess you're making your own luck, but it's terrible. Garbo, dog water picks.
I also pick the Titans. I think the Titans can pull it off. I don't believe in the Chiefs anymore. There's no way they can.
The rough.
Titans are the diamond in the rough. The Chiefs are the diamond that has been demolished and is being used.
They're the diamond that is going through a rough
drills.
fucking time right now. I'll tell you that much.
All right. Eagles, Raiders. Some important notes for you guys. Against bottom 15 defenses, Jalen Hurts has balled out. He's had 250 passing yards and at least 2 passing touchdowns. But the Raiders, they're a 14th overall defense.
So like the Eagles, the entire season, the Eagles have scored 4 offensive touchdowns and the Raiders have scored 4 offensive touchdowns in the first half, the entire season.
Mm-hmm. For some injuries, Eagles are going to be without Brandon Brooks, and that's about it. What do you think, guys?
This is the 4:00 game slot, just to be clear. And, both these teams have slow starts, but I'm feeling the Raiders this week.
Look, there's a little caveat here that I think the Eagles would win if they started Gardner Minshew.
Oh, man.
But banking on that not happening, I think the Raiders have really been clicking this year. They've had some really solid games. Derek Carr, even though he's not elite, has definitely played up to teams this year, and I'm going to take the Raiders.
I'm going with my boys. I think the Eagles can pull it off. Let's give it to the Eagles.
I hope that loses it for Ryan.
Hey, it paid off for him the week that he subbed in for Ryan. He said that they would beat the Panthers, and now look where the Panthers are.
And they did.
Oh. All right, stop. Right. What are some other 4:00 games?
Next up, Lions versus Rams. Trey Flowers is questionable. TJ Hawkinson is questionable, and DeAndre Swift is questionable. What do you think, guys?
I'm gonna have to go with the Rams. I'm tired of getting fucked over by the Lions.
You don't think the Lions can beat the Rams?
I do not.
It's a revenge game for Jared Goff, though. He's going to go off.
No.
He's going to get picked like 6 times.
I was just saying him going off is going to be about 200 passing yards and maybe a touchdown. Doesn't matter if all these guys are healthy. I'm taking the Rams here.
Gotta take the Rams. All day the Rams. All right. Texans, Cardinals. Another tough one. Who's going to win? Texans are without Tyrod Taylor, and the Cardinals will be without Chandler Jones. I don't know. 6-0 versus one of the Texans, like 1-5.
My gut is telling me this is an upset game, but my brain is telling me that's a stupid decision. And I'm gonna go with the Cardinals for this one.
Yep. You know what? Your gut's never wrong, so you should go with the Texans. But obviously, I'm taking the Cardinals here. They look great, and it's the Texans.
I take the Cardinals too. All right, Bears, Bucks. The Bears. Khalil Mack is questionable. David Montgomery is out, and Allen Robinson is questionable. For the Bucks, Antonio Brown is not playing, and Levante David is out, along with Gronk. Gronk's not playing.
Not even a question for me. I'm going with Tampa.
Yep, give me the Bucks here.
Bucks all day for me. Colts versus 49ers. 49ers are on a 3-game losing streak. 49ers have not won a game at home yet this season. They're 0-2 in San Fran. All 3 of the 4 Colts losses are teams in the top 10 power rankings. And the 4th team was the Seahawks with Russell Wilson. Injuries to the Colts include T.Y. Hilton is questionable. Julian Blackmon is out. Rodrigo Blankenship is out. And Darius Leonard is questionable. The 49ers, Jimmy G is questionable. George Kittle will be out again. Trey Lance is questionable. And Trent Williams is questionable. Thoughts?
Man, I mean, it's tough because Jimmy G is questionable, and it's not and Trey Lance is questionable, and it's not like either of those guys have really been thriving in this offense this year, but the 49ers just have been struggling lately, and the Colts are kind of on the up and up, honestly. They've played really tough teams, and I think that's why, they have the record that they have. I think they're highly underrated. They're one of the better 2-4 teams, so I'm taking the Colts here.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in the Colts, but I also am not a big believer in teams with that many key injuries. And the Colts haven't been looking terrible, at least recently, and I think I'm going to have to go with the Colts.
49ers have not been doing well. I don't think that they can pull it off, even though they are in San Francisco. I think the visiting Colts will get the win. All right, the Monday night game, Saints versus Seahawks. In all of the 3 of the Saints wins, they have scored above 28 points a game, and the Seahawks have given up at least 25 points per game. The Saints are 4-4 in Seattle, and the Seahawks have not won at home yet this year. They're 0-2. Injuries to the Saints include Terran Armstead is questionable, Deontay Harris is questionable, and Michael Thomas is out. For the Seahawks, Russell Wilson is still out, Chris Carson is out, and Alex Collins is questionable.
Saints, not even a question for me.
I agree. I think the Saints are going to take it here. The Seahawks defense has been so bad this year. And, Jameis, before the bye last week, he threw for 5 touchdowns and like 300 yards against the football team. So their defense is about equivalent with what Seattle is right now. And, I'm taking the Saints. Even though Michael Thomas is not coming back this week, I still think they're going to have a great offensive game. And I don't think Geno Smith's going to be able to put up big points, especially with Marshawn Lattimore locking down DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I believe Saints can do this, even though they're visiting, even though they're playing in Seattle. Give me the Saints.
Yeah, so that's all of our game picks this week. That's all the topics we got today. I appreciate y'all for, coming on. Always a pleasure. Next week, hopefully, we will get our first guest on, as a former USC player, Chris Chalk, has reached out to me. So I'm not sure how we are exactly going to fit that in with the show. Probably it's going to be more based on, him telling a story, maybe interviewing him. I'll let y'all know about that. But yeah, so, let us give us suggestions below. We appreciate what y'all have to say, even if it is negative. I am at least open to, negative criticism. Any last notes you guys want to say before we sign off here?
I've had a lot of punishments throughout this season, and you all should come back next week to see me not get a punishment for once. It'll be a special episode.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Or we come back next week to see you eat another hot chip.
Or in a Zach Wilson jersey.
Oh man,
bro! I am so. I've never rooted for the Jets harder in my entire life. I want them to win so badly because
you should change your pick.
You in a Zach Wilson jersey would be priceless. Priceless. I cannot tell you how much joy that would bring me in seeing you suffer like that. Because I didn't even know that you hated the Jets that much, but I guess being a Patriots fan, you still hate the Jets even though they suck.
Well, I hate Zach Wilson and the Jets, so it's kind of a double whammy there.
Is it like the worst possible combination? Like, is there a team that he could go to that like you would hate more?
I don't think so.
Not the Giants, not
nope. I'm thinking of it right now. I don't think there's a team you could go to that I dislike more. I hate the Jets. And I hate Zach Wilson.
Okay, well, fuck Zach Wilson. That's usually Justin's weekly note on the podcast. But Stapboy, you got anything to say before we sign off?
Well, only one thing to say. 3 words. Let's go, Birds.
I thought it was going to be fuck Zach Wilson.
That too. 6 words. Let's go, Birds. Fuck Zach Wilson.
All right.
Peace. 7.
We'll see if the Birds can pull off the dub this week, and we'll see if Zach Wilson sucks. But he might not with that shaky Patriots defense. But thank you all for joining in. I always appreciate it. We will see you next week on episode 8.